And welcome again to another edition of Market Analysis for today, May 27th, 2025. I'm Gio Benacourt, and this is a recording done by Vantage Markets right about an hour prior to the U.S. session open. Well, let's get right to it. We had a nice long weekend, and Memorial Day was yesterday. And there's a new trade emerging on the heels of the ones that became popular when Donald Trump won the presidency last November. Tuesday's trade is known as TACO, for Trump always chickens out, and comes after Trump backed away from Friday's threat to ramp up tariffs on imports from the European Union over the long Memorial Day weekend. The stock Europe 600 index was extending gains after jumping 1% yesterday. TACO adds a new dimension to the previous Trump trades based on a rising dollar, big domestic technology stocks like Tesla, Microsoft, and Apple, and the now flagging oil giants Exxon and Chevron. Now, to be fair, U.S. markets, which were closed yesterday, started rebounding late Friday on bets that the steep tariffs on the EU wouldn't hold. Trump's latest reversal sets up a key date in July for the levies on both the EU and the rest of the world to kick in. But investors are busy betting that they won't be nearly as bad as feared. That's probably good news for Nvidia, the chip maker on the front lines of the trade war that reports earnings tomorrow. The other big events this week are a revision of the GDP, which no revision is called for, and inflation data out Friday. The Federal Reserve's preferred metric, the Core Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, is expected to show slower price gains, but the problem is that economists expect tariffs will drive up consumer prices later this year. Traders are scaling back bets on the Fed delivering interest rate cuts in June and July. Now, for what it's worth, traders say that any tariff-driven inflation spike won't be like the price gains seen of the COVID-19 pandemic. Unlike then, demand in the economy will be weaker, and thus the inflation will last. Of course, the TACO trade may have just as short a shelf life as the previous Trump trades, but for now, investors should dine out on optimism that tariffs wouldn't upset the rally. So with that being said, let's take a look at what we can speculate for today's market fluctuation. So we're seeing an overall view of the NASDAQ futures chart on a daily candlestick chart. So from here, let's take a look and begin to identify new levels or the levels of support and resistance that we could perhaps can come in and see where market might fluctuate towards or off. So we have the yellow line, which is the 50-day moving average, which the market right now is acting, actually the 50-day moving average is acting as a dynamic resistance level. So if you take a look at this particular level right here, we see that the market has actually created a covenant congestion, a volume cluster, and that level right there just jumps at me for us to say, okay, that will be an interesting level for us to come in and use it as a level of resistance. So let's use that as our first level of resistance, right? And then the second level, I want to use the upper Bollinger Band. Then as far as support will go, you see how this swing low, actually the wick kind of, if you look at the other crossbars, the 20-day moving average or the medium in the Bollinger Band acts as a dynamic level of support. So that's where I'm going to place my level of support. And then my second level of support, I'm still going to use that space of the gap that has not been closed. So therefore, the direction of the market, well, let's see if we are able to break out of this basically double top or level of congestion right here, confluence. Let's see if we're able to break to the upside. That's for the NASDAQ. Take a look at the S&P. So the S&P, again, I'm going to use that particular level, in this case, acting as a possible level of resistance, the upper Bollinger Band. I'm going to use, again, the medium as a possible level of support, and then somewhere around the middle of that gap as the second level of support. Let's see if we're able to click right above that 50 moving average is also again acting as a possible level, a dynamic resistance level. Then we have Mr. Dow Jones Industrial, which is quite high, that level. So I'm going to use this particular swing low and swing high for levels of resistance. I'm going to change the color obviously of the lines. Now, as far as support goes, I'm going to use that level of the medium, and then my second level, I use that one. You could also use 42,000, which is a psychological round value, as level of support. So the index is looking on with that taco trade. Let's see if it works today. So looking for a rebound, move to the upside. And we have crude oil that is basically within last week's range, or Thursday. I mean, Friday it closed red. So today, can we speculate that it's going to continue to move lower? I'm actually going to use that double top there. Initially, the medium, possible level of support, and that swing low. So let's see if we find a reversal as it comes to the medium or to a level of support. So initially selling crude oil, then we have Nat Gas. Nat Gas, I'm usually going to use Friday's swing high as a possible level of resistance. And then just 350, pretty tight range for Nat Gas. It is bouncing off the 50-day moving average. I'm going to use this swing low as a possible level of support for Nat Gas. Does that mean that we can anticipate a move higher? Well, let's see if it revisit. I'm going to use 320. So we can also use, since it has rebound off that level, I'm going to use that low, 3.29 times 0.382% minus equals 327. No, I'm actually going to leave it as is, 315. So initially looking for a swing high on that gas, the initial hour. So gold on Friday, you're closing in the red. We have the medium and the 50 about to cross over, so that's an interesting level of support. So I'm gonna just tighten up my first level of support and use that as a level. And then looking at this swing highs, this level right here, which is basically resistance, now support. Let's use now that swing high from last week. It's actually at 3,400. If I could make 3,400, there you go. So there you go. Maybe gold will fluctuate lower today, as is silver doing so far. So initial level of resistance, that upper boundary band, and I'm gonna make this 3380 second level, the medium of the boundary band as a possible level of support, and then I'm going to use 3240 per second. Let's see if that will be met. So initially selling metals, copper after a swing high from last week. I'm going to use that as a level of resistance. Second level of resistance, $490. Support, the 50-day moving average is a level of interest. And the second level will be the medium. So again, it could have been that it has already found its bottom and is beginning to recuperate, a retracement, because it'll be probably taken. So Bitcoin, 112,000, that level of resistance, and 114,000 second support, the medium, the 20-day moving average within Bonnier bands. Since Bitcoin swings by thousands, use this level. Again, it could just be consolidating. It's doing obviously equal highs, equal lows. The euro, using that upper boundary band, and then I'm going to use 114.80 second level. Support, psychological value, 113. Second level of support, the 20-day moving average of the medium of the boundary band. Take a look at the pound, 136, psychological. Second one, 136.5, 50-cent movement. Support, let's do a pound of range. Let's see if that, it looks in balance, obviously. Second level, I'm going to use the moving average. Let's see if the pound is ready to make another leg higher. Dollar index, I'm going to use the lower boundary band as a possible level of support. The 99.5 as our second level, our first level of resistance. This could probably just be doing today, since we have the 99 marker, we fluctuating above and below as our pivot points. So keep that in mind. That's it for today. Here you have our levels. The first hour is going to give us our intraday balance, so keep that in mind. That's it for today. Have a great trading day. I'll see you tomorrow.